It's Saturday, 26th of April 25, and I'm just looking at the council elections on Thursday night just to see how Reform are getting on. Is there a big shift, nationally, rather than, council elections? Sometimes it can be independents and you don't know what's going on, what's the context. I'm guessing the context that apparently there was four elections the other night. Reform gained one there, so from 0 to 26%, I would say, yeah. Marine, Arun, I think that's somewhere in Suffolk. So it's not a surprise to me really. What else is happening there? The Greens get 9.8%. We don't know if that's to do with maybe they get a vote from people who are using them as a protest. Nothing to do with their core issues, Greens and social justice, climate and social justice, etc. Don't know if that's a single issue protest vote from people new to Britain. We don't know. So this is the kind of thing we never find out in these things. Nobody gives us any context. Yeah, that wasn't Suffolk actually. I don't know where that is. I'll try and find it. Then we've got, so there was four elections. St John's, Suffolk. Labour held, but look at their vote. It's a way down. Down 19%. And the Greens again nearly came up. And I don't know again if that's to do with, it's more that it's newcomers that maybe don't have an identity vote to vote for. The theory is by Labour and Tories that people are going to integrate. They're not going to vote identity parties. Tribal, basically. But so I don't know if Greens has been used as a sort of protest on one issue, nothing to do with climate change or social justice or whatever. But Reform made a good showing there, so yeah, that's really good. Let's see who else. And Tories, look, they're way down there. Here's Glen Rothers one in Scotland. And Reform done pretty well. They came from nothing to 17, nearly 18%. So that's pretty good. Is that the 4 and 1, 2, 3? And there's one more, I think. Yeah, here's the other one. Lib Dem hold, but again, they're way down. So let's look at them. I'll try and look at them in detail. This is taking me ages to make this. It's amazing that it's 2025. The internet's been around 30 years, but it's still a nightmare to sort of compile, things. So Marine Arun, and I tried to make it. I'm wondering if Labour and Tories, they'll look at these council elections very importantly because they take them as polls, basically, surveys, polls, probably even better than surveys, really, I would imagine. And I'm wondering if the main context to look at these things in is how do people feel about the demographic change? How do pre-1946 Brits feel about it? And also, how are the newcomers voting? As I say, they might be voting Green in this case, rather than Labour, which was the traditional one for newcomers to vote for because of two issues. Benefits plus another one, they want something to be very open, very porous. Yeah, but now we've got this the thing happening in the Middle East. You've got a lot of people who maybe I can't put it. It's not that they feel sympathetic towards what's happening to the people there. It's they see it as a sort of ego thing. I could be wrong about that. That's just a guess. So I don't really know. They might actually. It's just that they just feel totally sympathetic towards them. It's nothing to do with religion or anything like that. But I don't think. I think it's more a case of even a way to attack the West. For ego reasons, not to do because they want to live in the West. But once they've got citizenship, they think, well, we've got these Labour and Tory MPs who are going to call the pre-1946 people the R word if they say anything. So this is a chance for me. Not a chance. This this is how I express myself. I'm not thinking. I'm not thinking how I felt before I got citizenship here. All I want is citizenship. Perhaps it's the only thing that's important to me. What they're really thinking is, once I've got citizenship, this is how we behave from where we've come from. We're very, to outsiders, it might look egotistical, and this is how we. So we've latched onto this issue as a way of. Plus, we've got a lot of enablers in the Labour Party, Socialist Worker Party, etc. They're ready to call the pre-46 Brits the R word at any moment. Plus SNP MPs as well and Green MPs, they're all there. So we can do this. We can look at this because we don't know if we want the people in the Middle East to fight to the death or if they want a peace deal, which would be unfair to those people, but it would be a lot more land. And at the moment they're going to lose all their land. If they'd done the 1967 thing, I think they would get about 20% of their land was in that deal. But we don't know if people who feel strongly about it in Britain and USA and that want them to fight to the death. You know what I mean? We don't know. I'm away on another tangent here. Anyway, I think the people at the moment would vote Greens as a protest vote because they can't vote for identity parties at the moment. We do have 4 identity MPs and we're going to have a lot more. I mean, I don't know if the Tories or Labour see themselves ever winning Blackburn again, or Lib Dems or Greens. Do any of them ever see themselves winning Blackburn again? It was a Labour place. Jack Straw was the MP there for many years. His agent helped the young man who won it recently. The young man said he would step down because the Workers' Party were the favourites to win there, but this young man came in and said he'd step down if the elders there didn't want him to stand. We don't know. I don't know who he means by the elders. The media aren't bothered about it. But I guess the elders wanted him to stand because he did stand, and apparently his agent was Jack Straw's old agent. So he's went from Labour. I think the idea was he would become Labour and he would integrate with this mainstream traditional British party, but no, he's away with an identity guy. Yeah. So Marine Arun, I don't know where else is, so we'll find out in a minute. But I tried to find out. I'm wondering if this is the way that Harriet Harman says that every Friday she scrutinates the council elections, and I'm wondering if the main thing they're looking at, apart from independent local issues, which sometimes councils were about, but I'm guessing more and more they won't be about at all. But maybe sometimes, they don't want a car park to be paid. A paid car park or a new housing estate going to be built or something. But I'm wondering if the main thrust all over the country will be how do the pre-46 Brits feel about, is the area changing, and how do the newcomers, how are they going to vote as well? Possibly mainly they're looking at the pre-46 Brits, how they're thinking, because at the moment they're voting Labour and Tory happy with that. Their MPs want Britain to go a certain way, which we're going, and apparently it's going to be a utopia, But they're thinking, are the pre-46 Brits anxious at all about this? Because if they are, they're going to vote reform. And in Scotland, John Swinney actually had a council of the I don't know, civic elders or something last Wednesday. And when he announced he was having this in March, he said the reform are far right. And basically that's what they were holding it about. But then when he had the actual meeting, it was a 4-hour sort of talking shop or something, he never mentioned reform at all. And I'm wondering because about a week or two ago there was a council election in Springburn, and I think Reform get 23% there. And Springburn in Glasgow is one of the poorest areas in Glasgow, a housing estate. Well, it said Glasgow North East, but I take that to mean Springburn. So if they're voting Reform, I would say SNP, Labour, they're all finished. Tories, Greens, they're all finished in Scotland. Um, so, yeah, and when I saw it, I watched, I'll talk about that in another thing. But yeah, so this is looking really good. Reform have won this one, 26% straight on. That's fantastic. Lib Dems, I mean, that Reform actually on this issue are pretty useless at the moment, but Nigel made a good talk the other day, but still not good enough, but he's shifted. Um, he's saying that people with travel visas who claim that they now want to become British, and usually Labour and Tories make them British. He's not going to accept that anymore. So that's a good start. And also for ones that come, students who come over who make a claim they want to become British. And usually Labour and Tories say, yes, we're going to, on behalf of the British voters, we're going to make you British. He says he's not going to do that. So that's a good start. So you get 26% here. And as I say, I think maybe Labour and Tories look at these things, and nationally, I think the one thing they're mainly looking at is demographics of the way these councils changes. So I tried to use Grok to find out. I mean, it wasn't really much use to me, really. Yeah, so here we go. 2021 UK census for Arun district. So this isn't really much use because since then we've had the Boris waves, which were the biggest waves ever that we've had. So Boris took us out of Brexit, that's what we all voted for. And instead of lowering this issue, Boris increased it by, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, I don't know. So Boris has been a total disaster. It continued under Rishi. I think it came down slightly last year, but only a bit. And you've got to look at these figures in gross. Net doesn't mean anything. You've got to look at them in gross. So it was like 1.5 million came from outside Europe last year or something, or 90% of them were outside Europe. I'm guessing not many Americans came. So, or Europeans, as I say, like. So Boris has changed it even more since then, I should say. So they're saying, you could say, well, we don't know if that includes East Europeans, but 95%, they're saying 96%. That was 2021. So this is still a very thingy place. I would say when you've got that amount in a place like there, probably your cities would be 85% or 80%, even if that was true. So that would be not enough for there not to be a great change very, very suddenly over the next few years. It would need to be like 98% and not changing something. So that area is going to change probably quite quickly, I would say. So what they're saying, yeah, they've got 1.6%. So yeah. So this place, it hasn't changed much, but I'm guessing it's going to change very, very quickly. And that's from 2021, remember, so it might have been 90% now because of the changes over the last few years. Yeah, maybe that's why this place I would predict should be probably either Labour or Tory, but I can't see who lost. Well, it was an independent the last time, but I would need to see the last one before that to see how the people were voting before then. Because were they voting Labour or Tory or Lib Dem even? But this time they've voted Reform, so well done to them, I would say, really. Yeah. Okay, let's see what's going on there. Greens get 9.8%, so that's a bit strange. Is that pre-46 Brits leaving Labour, which I would think would EU thing, or is this newcomers from certain areas around the world who, on the issue to do with the war in the Middle East, or to the removal of people in the Middle East or whatever, I wouldn't say, we don't know if it's that they feel total sympathy for the people there. They might want them to fight to the death, we don't know. It's more, it's to do, it might, I don't know, it might be to do with ego rather a way of, it's a complicated thing. Me personally, I feel very sympathetic towards those people, but you're not really allowed to in Britain. And America's clamped down on the free speech big time on this issue. GD Vance especially, and at the same time he's come to the Munich conference and saying free speech is under threat in Britain and Europe, which is true. But on this issue in America, you can get your visa redacted, or Harvard can lose all its funding. So on this issue, America's couldn't be more dictatorial, really. So yeah, so that's why I'm wondering what this green thing is. Is this newcomers to Marine Arun and they're not voting Labour anymore, or is it people who care about green issues like climate change? We don't know. Or is it pre-46 Brits who are abandoning Labour? Because really, if you're a socialist, you should be voting Green. I don't know why anyone's voting Labour if you're a socialist. It's ridiculous. Yeah, Lib Dems have got a strong thing there, so looks like they've had a strong support. Maybe it was a Lib Dem area. I don't know. So this is the thing. It's really hard to find out all these sort of things. Okay, on to the next one. I was saying it was Suffolk there. This is the one that's Suffolk. Yeah, so Labour down 20%, so they're down big time. Greens 21%, they're up big time, up 13%. Reform 20%, so they're up 20.6. They didn't have anyone, so that's a fantastic showing by Reform anyway. First go, it's a good showing by Greens and Labour. Tories down 24%, so it must have been a Tory area before this. Lib Dems up 10, so they had a good showing, but not enough, nowhere near enough. So the interesting thing is here is, yeah, it must have been a Labour area. Is that them lost, this area, St John's, Suffolk? So the Greens, and again, is this Greens, is this pre-46 Britons who are abandoning Labour or are interested in climate change and stuff? Or is it newcomers on one issue to do with it 2,000, 3,000 miles away? We don't know. So I tried to find it, and as I say, it was a nightmare trying to find this information out. Let's see, yeah, here we go. So I don't know when this is from. Is this from the census 21, which is already out of date probably? We've had 2 or 3 Boris waves since then, the biggest waves ever. And as Tony Blair said, before Brexit, I think about 90% of people came from Europe. He said there were young people and a lot of them would move back. I don't know if that's true. Personally, I don't think it's true. I think what used to happen was a lot of people used Europe as a stepping stone to get to Britain. Like, I can think of a country in Africa where a lot of them went to Dutch Holland because it was the colony that thinged. Then after 5 years of being an EU citizen, they moved to Britain. I think almost all of them moved to Britain apparently. Yeah, Belgium would have been another one that would do that. Portugal, and then they would all move to Britain. So I don't know how true that is or not, but I agree with his point in general, Tony Blair's point. Probably a lot of them were from Europe, even if they were stepping stone Europeans. Whereas what Boris done is it drastically done away with the European movement, and now they're all coming straight from the South Global and Europe's East. Yeah, so this is a 21 census, so he's saying, so it's maybe 85, so that's changed quite a lot of that place already, and that's probably down to about 80% now maybe or something. You could say our pre-war, pre-46 British. This is St John's Ward, Ipswich. And then you've got maybe East Europeans. This would be, what's it saying? Yeah, Polish, Romanian. This is saying Grok saying. So it has a notable East European community. So 46%, that's probably up to about 10% now. So I don't know, you know what I mean? But you've got to guess. So this place is going to change really, really quickly, probably. And then we've got Indian, Pakistani, Bangladesh. So yeah, it was 4% in 2021. I mean, that's probably maybe 8% now. So we don't know. With like similar style. So where are they talking about? They're talking about Ipswich. Yeah. Oh, Ipswich. They're talking about Ipswich here, actually. So Ipswich is really changing. So 2021, 2-3%. St John's is suburban, so they might not have so many. That's from 21 though. It's went through three Boris waves, 3 or 4 Boris and Rishi waves. And then mixed 2 or 3%. So I would say that place is changing really. And then we've got Arab, Latin American, quite a big 1 or 2%. This is Ipswich they're talking about. So in 2021, 87.8% were pre 1946 British. So that's changed big time already. 13%. It's probably down to 8%, like I say now. So I'm not really getting much information here, but this is what I'm wondering, is this how people are voting now mainly? Or are they still voting and nobody tells us, basically. So it's a Labour hold, but they're a way down. I mean, they were 48%. I would say they might even struggle at Ipswich for the general election, but the way Keir's thinking, he's thinking that in Britain you only get to vote every 5 years, so, and you need to vote for a party hamper. And you don't need to tell them much. Don't tell them a lot of things you're going to do. That sort of thing. That's Keir's idea of democracy. To be fair to him, that's what Labour and Tories' idea of democracy is. As I say personally, it should be like Swiss democratic system. Referendums quarterly, plus petition referendums on issues. We should be voting issues, not parties, not leaders. So that's all very strange there. I don't know what's happening. So now on to this Scottish one. I was hoping that maybe this SNP would collapse here, but and Reform would win it. But well, Reform will come in at 18%, which is fantastic for an SNP Labour place. So Labour are down 6.4%. Tories were nowhere really anyway. Neither were Lib Dems. So Reform have come in really big there. Not big enough, but that's good sign, because that's a real SNP Labour place. Neither of them have increased. So yeah, that's really good. And I'll see if I can get any information. I'll close that one. Oh, I shouldn't have. It doesn't matter now. Yep. So in Scotland we had a 2022 census because of COVID. They held it back a year. So this is I think this is post, because remember we've had 2 or 3 Boris waves since then, so you could be a change of 5-10% on the pre-46 Scots here. So they're saying 96-90%. I doubt it very much. Other groups around 1 to 4% are saying. So mixed 2.7, Indian 2.9, so that's quite a big. That's from 2022, so that'll have changed quite a bit. 2.6, I wonder if how these two groups feel about the war going over there. It's just starting over there, and wonder if there might be problems in Britain about it. Country of birth. So here we go, 84% were born in the UK. So that's pretty low, so maybe country of birth is a better way of finding it. 6.7% are from European countries, that's probably East European, so this is from 2022. Maybe country of birth is a better way of gauging how it's changed. I don't know why, So 5.2 from Middle East or Asian countries, so that's pretty big. 2.5% from African countries. Quite big, yeah. I mean, that's from 2022, remember. And 1.6 from elsewhere. Probably not America, USA or Canada. So Fife has seen population growth, and SNP and Labour are very happy about that. And the Greens, of course. So you can't really tell, but I would say the country of birth is the thing to look at there. So ethnicity isn't really telling me anything. So, I mean, and that's not including second generation, third generation from those countries. So it's maybe changed quite a lot there. So it's not really. Well, reform coming in at 18%. You can imagine that's pre-46, but Scots. Ones are like the kilt, tartan, Rabbie Burns. Rabbie Burns considered moving to Jamaica to work there. I would guess with the criteria for statue toppling, he should be number one. But there's a statue of him. He's got the most statues in Scotland. And I'm guessing that the statue toppling committee, if there is one, they're thinking, no, we need these SNP marchers. We need them at the moment. They would be symbolically, that would be them. They would go swing from that to reform probably if we'd done that. I think that's going to happen anyway, but they are correct in thinking that, I mean, if they can hold off people moving to reform who are too soft on this issue, but they're seen as the baddies, as John Swinney said in March, he called them the right far. Yeah, so is that it really? I think that's it. Oh no, we've got this Lib Dem hold. Lib Dem hold, so this is a traditional Lib Dem area, but they're down 15%. Tories haven't moved. Reform have come in at 22%, so that's good. That's probably pre-46 Brits. Greens, they're way down, so that's good. Don't know what's happened there. Maybe Labour are nowhere to be seen in this place. So that's good as well. West Berkshire, it's probably a middle class area outside of Reading or something like that. I don't know. I tried to find out the info, but it's saying 88% were born in the UK for the 2021 census, so that's probably down since then. So it's changed quite a bit. It doesn't show that in their demographics for ethnicity, from what I see. I mean, I can't tell from this. I really can't tell from that, but it's born country, so that's first generation newcomers. That does include second, third generation. So from that, I would say it's changed quite a lot. But it seems it used to be a Lib Dem area. I don't know. So it probably felt to them that it hadn't changed. I don't know. Maybe now it's suddenly changed. But I'm just looking at all this because I'm wondering, are Labour and Tories doomed, on this issue, basically? And I'm thinking it's starting to feel like, yes, they are, especially like John Swinney having that conference on Wednesday. The committee of people that Scots are like Rabbie Burns and that, you're not allowed to vote reform, basically. That's what the message was, really. And then here's the polls recently. Reform are in the lead now with these polls that were keeping them back. More in common, 25%. The YouGov reform in the lead. Margin of error still, Labour are still in there, but yeah, so to me it's looking as if Labour and Tories are finished now on this issue, basically. I don't know whether that's last week, I think, yeah. And Nigel Farage made a big announcement on this issue the other day, which I think means that Reform are going to trounce everyone in the council elections and the mayorships. They've got a mayorship in Cambridgeshire. Reform are in 20% at the moment. Tories in 32%, down 8. Labour 19, they're down 4. So Labour must have had that, but now they're down. Lib Dem are down. So Reform are the newcomers and they're right in there. So I mean, everywhere it's a 3-horse race now, or even 2-horse, with Reform being one of the horses. West of England, this is sort of Bristol area, which has changed a lot. Bristol's very changed. So this might be people, we don't know if this is people who used pre-war, pre-46 Brits dumping Labour for Greens because of their welfare things or whatever, I don't know. Or we don't know if it's newcomers voting on one issue to do with 2,000 miles away. Yeah, so Greens 27%, so they're going to, I think they're going to win that really. Labour 23%, they're down 10. Reform 18, so that's a good showing. That's probably pre-war, pre-46 Brits. That's Arun Banks there, who's a pretty obnoxious guy, but I would vote for him anyway. Conservatives 17, down 12, so they had a good vote there in the West England, but I think they're finished there really. And Lib Dems 13 down 3, they weren't really in it at any point. Yeah, so that's really good. Stats for Lefties doing an excellent job here again as usual. And here's Hull and East Yorkshire. Reform are straight on there at 35%. That's fantastic. From 0 to 35%. Labour 20%, so they're finished. Lib Dems 21. I think this mayor idea was Labour's idea, you know, and they thought people were going to vote Labour and Tory. But it's not going to go that way now because of this one issue, I think, because Reform are the protest vote on that issue. Reform are going to win them, well, really, or most of them. Or it's going to be someone like the Greens, for reasons unknown at the moment. We need to know the demographics and stuff, why. But yeah, the Reformer, it looks like they're definitely going to win there. So that's really good. And Reform to win Lincolnshire Mayor, so that's fantastic. They're doing even better there. 40%. Tories 25, Labour 15. So is this new ones that Labour have created or something? I don't know. New districts. So these are good signs of how people in these regions are voting rather than council elections even, I would say. Yeah, the Greens to win West of England, that's Bristol and surrounding area. Yeah, so it's really looking good. Labour wipeout, I don't know, I think let's find out now who always have Labour ahead, but Reform ahead by a long way, but they have a different method from all the rest. They don't include, it's something to do with they don't include how don't knows voted in a general election before, something like that, which I think is the right way to do it at the moment, because Reform is a new thing and people are fed up with the democratic system we've got, which isn't very democratic. They really want to vote on single issues like in Switzerland. They want direct democracy. So yeah, so it's all gone. You can't use your old way like that. And stats for lefty saying the Greens would gain 12 seats, all from Labour. Tottenham, David Lammy, Stella Creasy, Kerry McCarthy, Karen Smith, Bristol, Hackney, Diane Abbott, yeah, Hackney, Michael, Huddersfield, and Leeds Central. And I think we don't know if all these are going because one issue to do with one issue 2,000 miles away, whereas the people voting for them are maybe if get family 1,000 miles away from that country, but for maybe it's too hard. I can't think of a way to explain it at the moment. Okay, yeah. So that's all. It's all very interesting. In a real democratic society, we would get all this info easily, but it's very, very hard, I find, to think. Labour and Tories probably have all the data. That's what they're looking at, but they would never tell you that. And Labour are there to call pre-46 Brits the R word and stuff like that on this issue. Have they ever, really, you've just got to guess. Okay, that's it for now.